Welcome to Closer to Venus. I'm Johnny Burke. Today's guest is Lucy Brand. She's an energy alchemist, galactic shaman, divine channeler, and founder of Energetic Essence Healing. She helps women to heal challenges in their current life through channeling the divine, angels, galactic beings, fairies, and looking at past lives, all of which we will be talking about today. Lucy, welcome to the program.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here, Johnny.
Excellent. Your journey into the metaphysical world covers many areas. How did you get started on this path?
I think it's always been there. It's always been within me, which might sound really corny, but I've just always known that I've been different and always been able to see things or sense things or hear things that other people couldn't from a very young age. And so I guess to me, it's normal, like that experience. It was only as I started to get older that I realized other people don't hear voices or see things in the same way that I do.
You may have been reading my mind just a little bit there, because what I was going to say is it's very common for intuitives to be able to see and hear things that other people could not. And it almost always happens at a younger age.
Yeah.
3, 4, 5 years old. So
definitely. When I was very young, I think I was 4 or 5, I had an imaginary friend and my mum would have to set a place at the dinner table for them and plug them into the car with the seatbelt and stuff. They were very real to me.
Even with seatbelts?
Yeah, they would have to get in the car with us. And yeah, my parents never shamed me. They went along with it all. But now, back then, I know that, yeah, I was seeing things. I did sense things. I remember I was probably about 3 when an angel visited me and gave me kind of my book of life of what I wanted to do, should I choose to do it. There was just lots of things that I could kind of pick if I wanted to do. And it was such a beautiful experience. I think just from a very young age, these things were very normal to me.
Now, you mentioned the Book of Life. Could that be the same thing as the Akashic Records, or is it something different?
Yeah, it could be. I personally don't know a lot about the Akashic Records. What I have found in my personal experience is that sometimes a lot of people like to put labels on things as humans, and my labels don't necessarily match up to someone else's labels because it's my experience of something. So in that way, it could have been the Akashic Records, but my understanding was it was only this lifetime we were looking at, not all lifetimes. And my understanding of the records is it's across all lifetimes and all energetic footprints.
I've heard the same thing, but the Book of Life seems to be related, could be the soul blueprint. Was that an angel or a spirit guide, or are those terms sometimes interchangeable?
I think those terms are interchangeable. But I think this was definitely an angel to me because they were very bright white. And I've had experiences. Even a few years ago, I was at a meetup for women entrepreneurs, and a lady was speaking and I was listening. It was about 10 in the morning. And all of a sudden, Archangel Michael and Archangel Raphael appeared behind me. I was like, you've got to be kidding me. Angel bumps on my skin, my hair. It was like I was on electric. And I was like, not now. Like, I'm trying to listen to this lady speak. And they were just, I was just like, this is so inappropriate. And they were so impressive with their wings. I could feel them, but I could see them as well. But obviously it was a packed room, but they were in there and they just delivered the message at the time that it was now time for me to start speaking about my experiences, because I kind of have been in a bit of the closet with them because some of them have been quite wild.
Can you tell those guys to come visit me sometimes so I say a little prayer? Please help me in this episode uncover the love and the light. And please make me look cool. Hopefully they don't get angry with me. But seriously, though, I think a lot of us, when we used to go to church when we were younger, those are the experiences that we wanted. But after a while, I started to think, okay, so where are the angels? Where are they? I think a lot of people felt the same way. So during these experiences, did any of your friends or cohorts witness the same thing, or was it just your personal experience?
No, just my personal experience. I have had really powerful healing sessions with other healers, but that would tend to be more past life. And they would maybe see the past life that I'm seeing that's my own. I would say that those experiences are just reserved for me, which I think is really beautiful. But anyone could have those experiences. I feel everyone's intuitive. It's about opening yourself up. I think this might be true. Well, it resonates with me. Is talk to angels or spirit guides or whatever you choose to believe in, source, divine, but not just when things are bad, because even if things are good, they can help elevate them to something better. That's why I always just set like an intention for the equivalent or something better for the highest good of all involved. Because my human consciousness is so small compared to that of the divine or source or even angels, that if I offer it up, my human consciousness might not even be able to conceive of the amazingness that's possible. I feel that when I've worked with people trying to help them develop, it starts with a feeling in your body, listening for the feedback for them to come back to you.
So speaking of the feeling and having them come back to you, do you find in your experience that expressing gratitude can raise our vibration and foster more communication?
Don't know. That's a really good question. That might be true. Again, it's just something that I've done for such a long time. I'd probably take it for granted a bit because I have conversations with them all the time. My husband now knows the difference when I'm talking to myself or angels or something or him, because I'm constantly talking to beings,
Really?
spirits. Yeah. For me, they're in the room with me all the time. So it just never stops unless I tell them to go.
Are they here now?
Oh, yeah. They're all here all the time.
When you have these communications, is it like telepathic? Is it like a voice in your head, or is it just a knowing? How does that work?
I think it's all of them. Because you see, sometimes it can be difficult to translate into human words what they're showing me. So sometimes it can be difficult to translate. So for me, I see things or I sense things. Or sometimes I muscle test. If I'm too emotionally attached, it can make the signal a bit squiggly, if that makes sense. So then I will muscle test whether it's a yes or a no to something. But normally for me, it's seeing or hearing or feeling.
And seeing as well, right?
Yeah, I see everything.
You actually see them.
Yeah, sometimes it's a bit much. Like, to be honest with you, a lot of past lives aren't that pleasant for most of us. So when sometimes some of the things I see in past lives aren't that nice, and I'm like, oh, dude, you don't have to show me this. I get it. Like, I don't need the gorgeous.
I like how you did that. Dude, you don't have to show me that. That's incredible. This is something I definitely want to get into, the past lives. But before we get to that, and we will, you have a vast background in this journey of yours. Energy Alchemist, Galactic Shaman, that might be an entire episode unto itself, and Divine Channeler. So what actually came first?
I feel that it was the Divine Channeler because I've always been connected to the divine in some way and been able to channel things or see things or hear things. Then I would say the Energy Alchemist came probably in my 30s. Throughout my life, I would have people tell me, you're a healer. And I'd be like, but I don't want to be a healer. Stop it. To be honest, I shut it all down when I was 15 because the dead could contact me and I was hearing voices and stuff like that. It's hard enough being a teenager without that stuff. So I really shut it all off. But then late 20s, early 30s, I really started to open up to it again. And that's when I started looking more into shamanism and energy work. And that's when the Energy Alchemist came because I realized that I could help people through shifting energy and moving stuck energy. And then the Galactic Shaman, that was when my light language came through, probably about 5 years ago. Then started channeling beings from galactic realms. So they're different to angels.
Wow. Okay.
And I found when I started that, I had an Arcturian council of 12 that would help me with channeling. But now I can channel any galactic being I desire.
Energy, shamanism, and channeling, it's connected, isn't it?
Yeah, completely.
It's all part of the quantum realm. At least that's what I've been told.
Yes, this is all just my experience and my perspective. So my understanding of this is like, we're all one. So I am connected to the divine, but I'm also connected to an Arcturian being. And they're all just in different realms. But because time doesn't exist, I am in all those realms at the same time because I'm a multidimensional being. So when you kind of get that, wrap your head around it, you realize that you could channel anything or anyone. Even feel the energy sources of trees or nature on this planet. Everything has an energy signature.
This might open up a completely different rabbit hole, but Arcturians, what do they look like and what is their intention? Or is that a topic for another day?
No, I could give you a brief nutshell. From my experience, my connection, they're kind of the master healers of the universe and also very, very intelligent and also have the fastest spacecraft in the universe as well. So they do a lot of humanitarian work. And I have seen that as well. I've seen some wild stuff that I've done, but I've had to close a portal in someone's lounge where some galactic refugees that looked like giant toads were coming through into the lounge. So I had to close. I know, this is like 11 o'clock on a Tuesday morning. So I had to close that portal.
In a lounge?
Yeah, someone's lounge. It was just
a house, like a living room.
The thing is, when you start opening up to stuff like this, and she'd started to open up the channels, but she wasn't protecting her energy and protecting her home. And that's the biggest thing, is you've got to protect yourself and create kind of barriers, really, like protections around yourself when you start doing this work. But she couldn't see stuff. She could just sense it. So she knew something was going on in her lounge, but she couldn't see it. So I came over and I was like, oh yeah, I can see it.
You could see it.
Yeah, what's going on?
What you just said about protections, I wanted to ask you this anyway. With your talents, being able to speak to the dead and other beings for that matter, is there any reason why you didn't just become a medium, or is that something you wanted to avoid?
That doesn't float my boat. So my experience of, let's call them spirits. So my understanding is you pass over and then some people go to the light and I don't know, there's this other world there or this other realm, which is love and light. But then there's some people that kind of get stuck in the middle. And I've helped some of those people go to the light because everyone goes to the light. There is no hell. But the people that tend to get stuck in the middle, some people call them ghosts. My experience, they tend to be a bit angry or have got a bit of a vengeance or something like that because they don't know they're dead because they haven't wanted to die or something happened. There was a freak accident or something like that. If we talk about energies, right? When you channel energies, you're still kind of on some level embodying that energy. You're still taking it into, as a healer, a channeler, you're still taking that into your system, into your nervous system. With people that kind of died in that way, it tends to be heavy energy. There tends to be a lot of sorrow, sadness, anger, and those denser, heavier emotions. My knowing from a very young age was that would take its toll on you. Whereas what I channel is the lighter frequencies like light language, galactic beings, angels, and their frequencies are a lot higher than, say, these other frequencies.
I've heard that quite a bit. Unfortunately, when people die in a certain manner, let's say even a suicide, they might be stuck in that in-between world. Hopefully, I think I heard you say everyone eventually goes to the light. There is no hell. There is no eternal damnation.
Yeah, and it really is easy. Sometimes they're just lost. I'm like, there's the light, go on, off we go. My experience of the other side, there is only love and light. And that's really what is here for us on planet Earth, but it's our humanness that can get in the way of that, because everyone has free will on this planet. People can choose to behave in a way that might not be appropriate.
We will have to dive into that on another episode, another show, but definitely some great stuff there. I think it's good for people, including myself, to hear that. You also come from a long line of witches. I believe it's on your dad's side.
Yeah.
How did you find out about that?
Interestingly, I always kind of knew. So it only passes down the female line. It doesn't pass down the male line in my particular lineage. And my grandma would read tea leaves, and she would get together with her sisters and they would read tea leaves. They left school at like 12 or 14 and they would fall asleep and speak in tongues. They would see the dead. They would predict the future as well. They predicted some pretty big things that happened in my family through reading tea leaves and things like that. But my grandma, she didn't really want to be a part of it, even though she had these gifts. So she never really taught me how to use them or control them. And that's why it was quite scary as a teenager having these gifts and not really knowing what to do with them or how to work with them.
You mentioned something about protecting yourself. Every medium or intuitive, anybody that channels anything really stresses you have to do almost like a protection spell to only allow the light come in. And there are apparently some beings that are not so nice, which we don't talk about them too much at any time. So
it was one of the first things I learned when I was studying shamanism, and it was a game changer for me as an empath. So as soon as I started putting, I call them protection bubbles up around me, I wasn't taking on other people's emotions or their projections onto me. As a highly sensitive empath, that was a game changer anyway for me to live my life. But then just taking that and using that, because it's the same if you're speaking to people in the spirit world as well. So I'd highly recommend it if you're going to work, or like anything in your human life, putting a protection bubble around you.
We're going to have to get those explicit instructions by the end of the show. That's great advice. Now for the past lives. How did you get involved with that? How did you learn about past lives? You obviously work with them, with your clients, right?
Yeah, definitely. Again, it's one of those things that I just knew. I've just always known that this isn't the only reality. I think it really ramped up a year after I got married. I had a vision, a really strong one, of me and my husband in Victorian England time. But we were both men, and I was married to someone else and he was married to someone else. And it was so strong. It was so visual. We were in this gentleman's club. It was the only place that we could be together. Being gay was illegal in England at that time. And then after that, they just came through very thick and fast, because I know and I feel my husband and I have had a lot of previous lifetimes together. But this is actually the first one we could actually be together, because the other ones we couldn't because of class systems. That one in ancient Egypt, we couldn't because I was kind of a noble lady, if you like, and he was a servant. Then we had another one in the States, in the US, where he was the woman in that one and I was the man, and I lost him in childbirth. Then with other healers, if I'm being worked on, then my past lives come up all the time. I've had some really funny ones. But then for clients, I just tune in. Like when they come to me with a challenge they're struggling with in this lifetime, I'll just check, is this a past lifetime thing? And then my guides will be like, yes. And then they'll normally show me what's going on. And I'll be like, all right, okay. It kind of links into karma as well. My understanding is that the same souls circle each other. So that Victorian past lifetime I mentioned, my wife in that lifetime is my mum in this lifetime. So
my God.
Yeah. So the same souls circle each other all the time. So that means stuff that perhaps you didn't work out in a previous lifetime, you then have the opportunity to work out in this lifetime. But also it means perhaps if you had a sticky situation in another lifetime, once you heal that from that other past lifetime, completely frees up your relationship or the situation in your current lifetime.
And I've heard that as well from several people. What you just mentioned about how souls circle each other, is that related to the soul group or the soul family?
Yeah. Yeah, like you have a soul group and a soul family. My feeling on this is that once you've worked out your karma or you've completed, then different souls are going to come in. So your soul family is going to be forever changing because the whole goal is to evolve.
That's the first time I've heard of the concept of the soul family evolving and changing. So one of the things I'd want to know about the past life in Egypt, about how long ago was that?
Oh, I don't know. Like, it was a long time ago. I've had two, actually. I had one where I was a horrible kind of religious man who was very high up with a pharaoh of some kind. It was that time, pyramids being built and stuff, and I was not a nice person in that one. I had to do a lot of healing on that, sort of forgiveness. The one with my husband, that was a bit more modern. I would have probably said, I don't know, like white robes and I'm wearing gold, maybe 16th century.
That could be 1,000 years ago, but do you get the idea that maybe some of these lives were before recorded history?
I did have one that I know of that was a bit difficult to decipher because I think it was before Mayan times. There was some kind of channel. I was a human, almost like goddess-like channel to other realms. You might have heard of the Atlanteans. That was in South America. I remember finding it really difficult to describe because the stuff I was seeing and sensing, it wasn't from this world, but I was on planet Earth. But that was before records began, or current records kind of thing.
Very interesting. One last thing I wanted to ask you about the Egyptian lifetime, the earlier one. We see Egyptian art from thousands and thousands of years ago illustrating these half human, half animal beings. Was that superstition or worship? To the best of your knowledge, did those beings actually exist?
Yeah, I would say they did. They did exist.
Really?
They would be like an interpretation. For me, the Arcturians exist. That council exists. So I could create art of that. And that's true. And I think it's the same with that.
Did you actually see these beings, or do you remember it, or did you sense it?
No, I didn't see them then. The Mayan one or the ancient Egypt one?
Ancient Egypt.
Yeah, I didn't see them then. That wasn't my time there. They were kind of already there.
So in other words, that probably happened thousands, maybe 20,000 years ago or something of that nature.
Yeah.
Many people that have been on the shows apparently recall lives from Atlantis or even Lemuria, which is supposed to be even older. So when you work with your clients, past life memories just come up. And you communicate with your guides, and you can tell if their issue is related to a past life. You can see that pretty easily.
Yeah, like they'll just show me. And normally it's because the challenge that my client has, it's normally because they've got karma with someone else. So they'll show me the past life with that person in and what's happened. And then usually I'll say, this is what's going on. They'll be like, how did you know that? Like, I'll get stuff about this lifetime and I'll ask them a question and they'll be like, how do you know that? Because it's all connected. It's all connected, especially if you're in the same soul family.
Now, regarding the spirit guides, it seems there's like an intersection of sorts between angels and spirit guides and then our higher selves, which I could never really quite figure out. Are they the same thing? What would be the best explanation of that for the layman?
My understanding is that you have source, the divine, you have angels, then you have galactic beings. Then you kind of have like fairies and nature spirits. That's why I was laughing because they've just turned up now, not wanting to be left out. But they're quite earthbound, really. The higher self, I believe and think that that is actually part of you. So sharing one of the tricks of the trade here, like I have conversations with other people's higher selves sometimes to find out what's really going on. So if someone's acting out, I'd go and talk to their higher self and I'd be like, hey, what's really going on? Why are you really feeling sad? The thing is with us humans is that we will never say what's actually going on, especially if we're hurting or we're in pain. So if you want a direct answer, you go to the higher self of someone. When I start doing stuff like this, I always ask, is it divine and advisable? And I'll either get a yes, in which case I can proceed, or I'll get a no. I've rarely got a no. And when I get a no, it's like a lockdown. If I have a client and I'm doing healing work on their body, I can see every layer of their body in terms of the energetic imprints and things like that. Sometimes if the client's not ready to know information, that part's not ready to be healed yet, they'll block it off so I can't see it. Because they're very intelligent.
Wow.
So I always want to stay in the light, you know? I want to make sure that what I am doing is of the light and is good work. So that's why I always ask if it's divine and advisable. So I talk to higher selves all the time, and I think they're tied more to a person's spirit, an individual spirit, whereas I feel like angels aren't really tied to a human.
I would tend to agree with that. It reminds me of what someone told me not too long ago. When we go through an earthly life and reincarnate and go into that space in between incarnations and come back, maybe it is the higher self, stays home while our human self is down here. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that does make sense. But I think it's one of those things where it's all within you.
What you're saying about the information is given to you only if it's helpful in that situation. If they're not ready for it, you're not going to hear about it, right?
Yeah, definitely. Because I don't want to know either. I have to be responsible on my end. So, and sometimes I'll do a little muscle test under my desk and be like, is this client ready to know this stuff? And it might come back a yes or it might come back a no. So then I decide what I share. That's another reason why I stayed away from, I can do mediumship and I have done it with some clients because I feel like it's helped for them to hear from a loved one on the other side. But at the same time, when you do that, you become like a lighthouse and they all come. And it's just like, no.
That's awesome.
Get in the queue. Get in the queue.
I'm glad that you brought that up. One of my sister's friends was sitting for a medium, and this was after our mom had passed. I believe my sister's friend's name is Stephanie. The medium was giving her a reading, and all of a sudden, the medium stops and she said, "Who's Nancy?" My sister's friend said, "That's my friend." And he says, "Are you going to visit her?" She was. This woman is literally like jumping up and down and waving, and we think it was our mom. Does that sound plausible?
Yeah, totally. That happens all the time. Like you can get people that other spirits that hijack as well. And you're like, get away. Like, this is their moment to shine. Like,
that's incredible.
Yeah.
That's definitely good to know. You've apparently spoken to God. Was it God or Jesus, or is it, since we're all one anyway? Tell us about that. How'd that happen?
All of them.
All of them.
Yeah. So some people say the word God. I prefer the word divine because I think it's not as charged sometimes for people. But I feel that it's just an energy. It's an energy. Like angels are an energy. They can take form if they choose to. There's been a few times. One of the most powerful ones was when I went to see a healer because I was really struggling. I experienced a traumatic burglary in my 20s and I was really struggling to move past it. I went to see this healer and she was another one that said, "You're a healer." And I was like, "I don't want to be." While she was healing me, and it was amazing because what other healing modalities had never been able to do, I'd got memory loss from that event. She managed to bring that memory forward. I could then know what actually happened that night. I could clear it from my system and let it go. So she did that with the violet flame and she moved it out of my body. While she was doing that, Source spoke to me and said, "Lucy, if you want to, in this lifetime, your mission is to show women how to give love, receive love, be loved, and be loved." And I was just like, whoa. okay. And then like afterwards, I was pretty shell shocked. I just remember going to the beach afterwards trying to process, well, I have to do this now. I can't like not do it. When I'm in a healing session that's focused on me, I go into a very deep meditative state, really deep states where I can access a lot of stuff. And I spoke to God again, and I was just trying to find out whether the burglary was my fault. And they said, no, it was not your fault. You were in the wrong place at the wrong time, and it wasn't supposed to happen. And that was hugely releasing for me, because I think sometimes with these things, we can blame ourselves, and we can really beat ourselves up about it. Whereas to just hear that I was just in the wrong place at the wrong time was very healing. Every time I'm in their presence, it's the best feeling. It's like love and bliss and joy and peace, all of that wrapped up in one. It's amazing.
I've been told that by many people that some of these visits to energy healers are pretty incredible. I had one guest speaker a while back that said he basically felt like he met Jesus through a healer, an energy healer. And I thought that was pretty incredible. As was this episode. One last question. Can you give us a brief synopsis of the protective bubble that you mentioned before?
Sure, of course. Like I said before, everything's within us. So I tend to connect to whoever I want. So I'll connect with Archangel Michael, and I imagine the energy of Archangel Michael, which is actually one of the most protective of angels. I imagine this bubble coming out from my torso, in front of me, above me, below me, and behind me. And then I say something like, only love and light can enter, and only love and light can leave. And so it is, thank you, divine within me. And that's it. Sometimes it might be a bit longer, like, please only allow in blessings and joy and peace and the same out as well, because it's not going to be a barrier. It's going to be a flow of energy. So the same way I only want to receive love and light, I only want to give love and light as well, in case someone challenges you a little bit or something, you want to respond and not react.
Very good advice. I doubt I could top that, so I think we should end there. Lucy, thanks so much for joining us today. How can our listeners learn more about you online?
Thank you so much for having me. I've loved it. You can find me at www.lucy-brand.com. I am on Instagram as well at Energetic Essence Healing. I'd love to hear from you.
Excellent. I will put that in the notes and the transcript as well. You've been listening to Closer to Venus. I'm Johnny Burke. If you enjoyed today's episode, please consider subscribing. You can also leave us a review on iTunes as well. For more info, please go to closertovenus.com. Thanks again for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.